Deep in the jungles hide things that should not be there. Ancient cities, vanished civilizations, strange stone structures, giant footprints of unknown creatures, and even a huge ghost ship discovered where there are only dense thickets for many kilometers around. Sometimes it seems that the jungle is a huge green ocean that for centuries has been swallowing everything that falls into its depths, and keeps these secrets until one day someone accidentally stumbles upon them. Today you will see 20 of the strangest and most mysterious discoveries made in the jungles. And believe me, the last of them looks so incredible that many still cannot explain how it is even possible. I will ask you to subscribe and like because it really helps a lot in development. In return, I will delight you with new videos. Enjoy watching. The Amazon jungles are one of the most biologically diverse places on the planet. That is exactly why researchers constantly go there in the hope of discovering new species of plants or animals. However, sometimes they find something completely different. If you look at some parts of the jungle from a height, you can notice strange shapes on the ground. These are huge geometric structures, circles, squares, and straight lines formed by deep trenches. These formations are scattered across the territory of Brazil and Bolivia. And what is particularly interesting, they appeared even before the modern jungles grew in these places. Scientists are certain that these structures were created by people. Their shape is too regular to be the result of random natural processes. But for what exactly they were built remains a mystery. Some researchers suggest that they could have been used in agriculture. Others believe that they could have been defensive structures or ritual complexes. But there is no exact answer yet. The only thing that becomes obvious is that the ancient inhabitants of the Amazon had a much greater impact on shaping the landscape of the region than was previously thought. If you consider the size of the Amazon jungles, it is not surprising at all that people lived there for millennia. Moreover, some indigenous tribes still continue to protect their lands from the interference of the outside world. But one question has always caused debates among researchers. How advanced was the ancient civilization that lived in these places? When scientists began to conduct satellite mapping of individual areas of the Amazon, especially in Bolivia, they discovered something unexpected. Among the dense forests hid structures that in their shape resembled pyramids. This discovery forced researchers to reconsider previous ideas about the ancient peoples of the region. Apparently, the civilizations that inhabited these territories could have been much more advanced than previously thought. Some scientists even suggest that in terms of their level of organization, they could compete with such famous cultures as the Maya and Aztecs, which later dominated other parts of America. Although the exact purpose of these structures still remains a subject of discussion, one thing can be said for sure. The Amazon jungles still hide many secrets that are only beginning to open up to modern researchers. Jungles possess one amazing feature. If given enough time, they are capable of swallowing almost everything, even huge cities. A striking example of this is the ancient city of El Mirador. Photographs and video recordings only partially convey the scale of this place. And yet once the capital of the great Maya civilization was located here. Yes, that very civilization that many remembered in the year 2012 when they discussed their calendar and the supposedly predicted end of the world. In the period of its prime, El Mirador was a huge city. According to the estimates of archaeologists, about 200,000 people lived here. And this was only one of a multitude of cities in a huge network that the Maya built. In total, a system of settlements could have existed in this region, the population of which exceeded 1 million people. In other words, the Maya knew perfectly well how to build large-scale civilizations. But one day this civilization disappeared. People abandoned the cities, and over time the jungles began to slowly swallow the stone buildings, pyramids, and roads. Today, archaeologists often compare the discovery of El Mirador to the discovery of Pompeii. After all, the city was literally right under our noses all this time, simply hidden under layers of nature. And even now, researchers continue to find new ancient cities in the jungles all over the world. Sometimes jungles present discoveries so strange that at first it seems it is simply impossible. For example, a dead humpback whale found right in the jungle. It is worth reminding, humpback whales are some of the largest creatures on the planet. Even calves can weigh several tons. Exactly such a whale was discovered on an island at the mouth of the Amazon River, not far from the coast of Brazil. But the strangest thing was not even that the whale ended up on the island. It was found deep inside the jungle, in a place where it could not possibly be. However, the explanation turned out to be related not to the whale itself, but to the water. This island regularly faces very strong tides. In certain periods, the water level rises by about 4 meters. Such a rise is capable of flooding significant areas of land. According to experts, this is exactly what happened. The whale probably died in the ocean. After that, a powerful current and tide carried it far inland on the island. When the water retreated, the huge carcass was left lying among the vegetation. This is yet another reminder that the power of water is capable of moving even the heaviest objects. In Brazil, researchers actually discovered mushrooms that glow in the dark. It is curious that for the first time, these unusual mushrooms were described back in the year 1840. However, after that first discovery, they seemed to disappear, and for more than a century, no one saw them again. Only in the year 2009 did scientists manage to find them again in the wild. Of course, doing this was extremely difficult. The whole point is that they can only be seen at night. Only in complete darkness does it become noticeable whether they actually emit a soft greenish glow. The reason for this mysterious radiance is a chemical reaction known as bioluminescence. In the process of this reaction, a special enzyme interacts with a certain molecule, as a result of which light is emitted. According to scientists, such glowing can perform several functions at once. It can attract insects, which help the mushrooms spread their spores, or it can serve as a warning to potential predators, hinting at toxicity. Glowing mushrooms have long excited the imagination of both the indigenous inhabitants of the region and modern researchers. Their existence forces one to wonder, what exact role do they play in the complex and incredibly rich ecosystem of the Amazon? The tropical forests of this region are considered home to some of the most amazing natural phenomena on Earth, and glowing mushrooms are just one such example. There is one important point that is worth understanding. Everything that has already been mentioned in this video are things that really exist and have been discovered in the real world. However, if you ask the question, do we know everything that the jungles hide, the answer will most likely be negative. The reason is simple. Huge territories of tropical forests, especially such giants as the Amazon, still remain only partially explored. Scientists know only a tiny fraction of those plants, animals, and natural phenomena that might be hiding in these places. That is exactly why jungles continue to remain a source of secrets. A countless number of things may be hiding there, the existence of which humanity does not even suspect. It is not surprising that expeditions continue to set off into these dense forests again and again. Researchers strive to turn the unknown into the known, step by step, uncovering the secrets of one of the most mysterious natural zones on the planet. And now let us move to one of the most unusual natural phenomena of the Amazon: floating forests. The name sounds almost fantastic, however, it completely corresponds to reality. It really is about real forests that literally float on the surface of the water. These unusual islands become home to a wide variety of animals. Sometimes even people live there, although there are significantly fewer of them. And no wonder, this place is far from the safest. These waters are inhabited by snakes, caimans, and a multitude of other creatures, a meeting with which can turn out to be extremely unpleasant. But how does a floating forest even appear? In fact, it is the result of a complex natural cycle associated with regular floods in the region. Everything begins with huge accumulations of dead grass and vegetation that gather on the surface of the water. Over time, tree seeds begin to sprout on this natural carpet, and gradually a real island of vegetation forms on the water. As a result, an amazing sight turns out, a full-fledged forest that seems to drift along the river. It sounds almost like a fairy tale, but it is an absolutely real natural phenomenon. And that is exactly why floating forests continue to attract the attention of scientists and travelers from all over the world. Now the talk will be about a forest that looks as if it is breathing. Yes, technically this is not a jungle, but a forest. But the site is so unusual that it is impossible not to include it in this list. One person was in a forest in the province of Quebec in Canada when suddenly he noticed something truly strange. The ground around him began to rise and fall like a huge living rib cage. In the video, you can see how the surface of the soil literally moves in waves, as if the forest is taking slow breaths in and out. Naturally, having seen such a thing, the person decided to share the recording on the internet in order to understand what exactly is going on. After some time, the answer was found anyway. At that moment, a strong wind was blowing in the region, and the trees in this forest possessed a huge branching root system. When the wind began to rock the trunks, their powerful roots slightly lifted the soil. This whole system began to move together with the trees. As a result, the impression was created as if the very earth underfoot was breathing, slowly rising and falling. In reality, it is simply the power of the wind and the nature of the roots. But the sight looks so unusual that at first glance it seems to be something completely mystical. When people hear the name Witch's House, the majority immediately imagines an old hut from fairy tales in which a real sorceress once lived. But in this case, everything is much more prosaic. The land on which this house stands was bought by an ordinary person back in the year 1656. Later on this territory, a family estate was built, where people lived for many generations. Over time, one of the owners, a person named Peter Madsen Peterson, decided to build a new house. This happened already in the 1930s, and the building received the name Flintstone. The house stands to this day. But why is it called the Witch's House? The answer is quite simple. It is all about its appearance. The architecture of the building turned out to be so unusual that many people began to say as if it looked like a house from a fairy tale about a witch. Over time, this name stuck, and the house itself turned into a kind of tourist attraction. Sometimes just a little strange architecture is enough for a whole legend to appear around an ordinary building. By the present moment, it has already become obvious. A huge number of lost ancient cities are hidden in the jungles of the world. One of them is located in Belize. Right there is located the ancient city of Caracol, which was once one of the most important centers of the Maya civilization. In its time, this city played a huge role in the political life of the region. If you look at the size of Caracol today, it becomes obvious how impressive this place was. In fact, the ancient city is larger than any modern city in Belize. The Maya clearly were not used to thinking in modest scales. However, over time their civilization fell into decline, and Caracol was abandoned. Dense jungles gradually swallowed it, hiding it from the world for long centuries. Only in the year 1937 was the city accidentally discovered again. Since then, it has turned into a real center of attraction for archaeologists, historians, and travelers who want to see with their own eyes one of the greatest legacies of ancient America. Now let us move to Ecuador, where archaeologists have discovered another mysterious city. And a rather unusual legend arose around it. The city was supposedly built by giants. Why did the local residents come to such a conclusion? First, next to the huge structures, tools were found, the dimensions of which amazed the imagination. They turned out to be so large that it gave rise to legends about an ancient race of giants who allegedly created these massive constructions. Of course, such stories might seem fantastic. But it is worth remembering that legends about giants are found in many cultures of the world. Furthermore, the structures themselves are truly impressive. Among them there is, for example, a steep pyramid with a height of about 80 meters. When you stand at its base and look up, it is easy to imagine that such structures could have been built by creatures much larger than ordinary people. If you until now doubted that jungles hide an incredible amount of lost cities, then the story about the city of the monkey god in Honduras can definitively dispel any doubts. This legendary city was considered almost a myth for many years. It was called the White City, and for more than a century, researchers tried to find it among the dense forests of the La Mosquitia region. Imagine, tens of expeditions, countless rumors, tales of travelers, legends of local residents, all this added up to one big mystery. Only at the beginning of the 2000s were scientists able to determine the area where the ruins of this city could supposedly be located. And already in the year 2015, it became clear. The legend turned out to be reality. This happened approximately 75 years after the American explorer Theodore Mord, during his expedition to La Mosquitia, discovered thousands of ancient artifacts hinting at the existence of a large civilization. In the end, the city was indeed found. This discovery turned out to be so significant that a documentary film was even made about the search for the mysterious city. Sometimes the most incredible legends still turn out to be true. Now let us move to Peru, to one of the most mysterious parts of the Amazon jungles. Here is an unusual place that local residents call the Boiling River. The name might sound like a metaphor, but in reality, it is quite accurate. Local residents had known about this river for many decades. They even used its water for various domestic needs, washed clothes, cooked food, and performed other everyday tasks. However, for the scientific world, this river remained unknown for a long time. Only when one geologist decided to personally go in search of it did it become clear that the legend was not an exaggeration. The water temperature here reaches 93 degrees Celsius. This is incredibly hot water, so hot that touching it can lead to serious burns. And this raises the main question: why is the water here so hot? The most amazing thing is, there are no active volcanoes nearby. The nearest one is located at a distance of hundreds of kilometers. Also, scientists have not discovered obvious geothermal springs that could heat the water to such a temperature. Moreover, only a certain section of the river is heated. Some researchers suggest that an unknown geothermal process might exist deep underground. But for now, this is only a hypothesis. One way or another, this river remains one of the most mysterious natural anomalies of the Amazon. Stones are one of the foundations of our planet. It is exactly from them that fortresses, cities, and entire civilizations were built. But in Costa Rica, there is one stone mystery that still baffles scientists. We are talking about 300 perfectly round stone spheres scattered across different parts of the country. It is believed that they were created by an ancient culture that existed in the region even before the arrival of the Europeans. This civilization flourished approximately from the year 700 to the year 1530 of our era. But the main mystery lies not in who created them, but why. The creation of stone figures in itself is not something unusual. People have done this for millennia. However, in this case, we are talking about 300 perfectly round spheres, each of which is executed with incredible precision. Moreover, the dimensions of these spheres vary greatly. Some have a diameter of only a few centimeters, whereas others reach 2 meters. Besides that, they are made from different materials. Some are from limestone, others from sandstone. Such a scale of work suggests that the ancient craftsmen had a specific goal, but what exactly remains a mystery. Some researchers believe that these stone spheres were part of a complex system of symbols or ritual objects. Others suppose that they are simply skillfully worked stones without special meaning. But one thing can be said for sure. Such precision and quantity of objects make this discovery one of the most mysterious in the world. In the world exist places that evoke a real sense of admiration even at first glance. One of such places is considered to be Sigiriya on the island of Sri Lanka. This is a huge rock formation rising above the surrounding jungles, which over time turned into a legendary fortress. For the residents of the country, this place has long become a symbol of the greatness of ancient architecture and human ingenuity. Some even call Sigiriya the eighth wonder of the world. According to legend, this fortress is connected to King Kasyapa. They say he built it to hide from his brother and protect himself from a possible overthrow. That is exactly why the fortress was erected on the top of a huge rock, a place that was practically impossible to capture. However, over time, the fate of this structure changed. The fortress fell into decline, and later, a Buddhist monastery arose in its place. And indeed, it is hard to imagine a more suitable place for meditation and solitude. From the top of the rock opens a breathtaking view of the boundless green expanses. If we talk about strange creatures that allegedly inhabit forests and jungles, it is impossible not to mention Bigfoot. Yes, we are talking about that very legendary creature which, according to eyewitnesses, resembles a huge, hairy human. The majority of stories about Bigfoot are connected with the dense forests of North America, but some people claim that they have seen similar creatures in the jungles as well. Actually, in almost every large forest territory of the Western Hemisphere, there will be people who assure that they have encountered such a creature. However, it is worth admitting, to date, no convincing scientific evidence of the existence of Bigfoot exists. Nevertheless, this does not stop enthusiasts from continuing their searches. It was already mentioned earlier that people have lived in the Amazon jungles for millennia, but there is one fact that might seem particularly amazing. Some tribes still live there with practically no contact with the outside world. And for these people, the jungle is not just a place of residence. It is their home, their culture, and their way of life. However, today their existence has found itself under a serious threat. Active deforestation and extraction of natural resources lead to the fact that the territories on which these tribes live are gradually being destroyed. As a result, many of them are forced to literally fight for their survival. In some cases, entire tribes disappeared due to the illegal activities of companies or the actions of local authorities who strive to gain access to the natural resources of the region. The reason is simple and sad at the same time. The riches of the Amazon attract too many people ready to go to great lengths for the sake of profit. And sometimes this struggle for resources becomes a real tragedy for those who lived in these forests long before the appearance of modern states. Now let us move to a small island in the Indian Ocean, North Sentinel. On this island lives one of the most isolated tribes on the planet, the Sentinelese. These people are known for the fact that they categorically do not want to have any contacts with the outside world, and they are ready to protect their territory at any cost. The history of contacts with this tribe is rather dark. Once, a British explorer landed on the island and even kidnapped several residents to show them to his superiors. Most of them soon died. There were also other cases. One day, a merchant ship suffered a shipwreck off the shores of the island. Several sailors managed to reach the shore, but a few days later, representatives of the tribe attacked them. Later, there was a case with an escaped convict who tried to hide on the island. He was also killed. In the year 2006, 2 fishermen accidentally swam too close to the island. They also died. That is exactly why today the government of India has officially forbidden approaching the island. The Sentinelese have made it clear they want to be left alone. And now, from mysterious tribes and forgotten civilizations, let us move to a story that for millions of people has not just a scientific, but a sacred meaning. In Hindu mythology, there exists a multitude of great beings who, according to ancient texts, once played a key role in the creation and fate of the world. And among these legendary characters, a special place is occupied by the god Hanuman, a mighty monkey warrior and loyal ally of the god Rama. One unusual mystery is connected with this character. In different regions of India, you can see huge prints resembling giant footprints. These depressions are found both in soft earth and right in massive rock formations. And what is especially interesting, many of them really look like huge human footprints. Moreover, we are not talking about a random resemblance. The shapes are so clear that some of them really resemble the print of a giant foot. It is not surprising that such places have become important religious sites. Many believers consider that these are the footprints of Hanuman himself, left by him during his travels around the world. But the strangeness does not end there. Similar prints are found not only in India, they are also discovered in Thailand, in Sri Lanka, and in other regions of Asia. And in many cases, the shape of the footprints is surprisingly similar. Of course, one can assume that some of them were carved by people to create a legend. Such cases have indeed happened in history. However, when such prints are found across the entire continent and in different natural conditions, the situation becomes much more mysterious. Some researchers have even put forward hypotheses that these footprints could be millions of years old. If this is really so, then such a discovery could completely change our understanding of history. But for now, there is no unequivocal answer. And therefore, the giant footprints of Hanuman continue to remain one of the most mysterious discoveries connected with ancient legends. The world of the jungles is incredibly huge, and until now remains one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Here you can encounter glowing mushrooms, lost cities, ancient structures, and even huge ships that ended up where it would seem they absolutely do not belong. And every time researchers set off deep into these green labyrinths, there is a chance that they will discover something completely new. And which of these discoveries surprised you the most? Maybe there exist other strange discoveries that could have ended up on this list. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments, and also watch other interesting videos that appear on the screen, and see you in the next episode.